Today, we're unpacking the massive cultural impact, the deep themes, and the fascinating real-world origins of one of American literature's absolute defining works, Harper Lee's masterpiece, To Kill a Mockingbird. Let's uncover exactly how a story focused on racial injustice and the legal system in the Deep South managed to capture the conscience of the entire world. Okay, let's just kick things off with a totally staggering number. 30 million. That is how many copies this book has sold worldwide. This isn't just some book that had a brief cultural moment. It is a foundational text that is continuously bought, read, and passed down across generations. And honestly, the global footprint here is incredibly telling. The novel has been translated into more than 40 different languages since its release. Think about what that actually means for a second. A story deeply rooted in the very specific culture, dialect, and social tensions of the American South during a specific era has somehow translated, literally and emotionally, to cultures all across the globe. It just goes to show how universal themes of justice, morality, and innocence resonate deeply no matter what language you're reading them in. So, originally hitting shelves in 1960, the novel didn't have to wait long for recognition, winning the Pulitzer Prize for fiction the very next year. But what is it that makes the story so deeply impactful? I mean, how is it that adaptations, like the 1970 stage play, can distill its power down into a mere 80 pages of dense, powerful dialogue? How does this narrative carry so much weight?
Well, the publisher's own summary cuts right to the heavy themes at play here. A lawyer in the Deep South defending a black man charged with the rape of a white girl. That right there is the engine of the narrative. The book forces a direct, unflinching collision between the idealized American legal system and the stark, ugly reality of racial injustice in the Deep South. It's a story that asks profound questions about empathy, systemic prejudice, and the sheer moral courage required to stand alone against a prevailing culture. And those are questions that are just as vital for us to ask ourselves today.
Section 1. Decoding Macomb, Justice in the Deep South.
Now, if we pull the most common terms directly from the book's pages, it's fascinating. They basically act as forensic evidence, constructing this racially charged legal battle right before our eyes. You've got courtroom vocabulary, jury, gavel, witness chair. Cross-reference that with the setting and the characters, and the words themselves prove this isn't just a simple coming-of-age story. It's a courtroom drama intricately woven right into the fabric of Macomb's segregated society. The language of the law and the language of the South are completely inseparable here. Even the official bibliographic subject classifications confirm this. When catalogers organize this book, they don't just file it away under general fiction. It is officially classified under legal fiction, African American and Black fiction, and Southern fiction. This tells us the story is fundamentally anchored at the exact intersection of Southern family life, racial dynamics, and the intense scrutiny of the courtroom. That is exactly where the tension lives.
Section 2. The Mind of Harper Lee, Author and Architect.
Let's chart Harper Lee's real-life trajectory because it's incredibly revealing when you look at where her intimate knowledge came from. Born in Monroeville, Alabama in 1926, she grew up totally steeped in the culture of the Deep South. But notice the late 1940s. She actually formally studied law at the University of Alabama. She wasn't just observing the legal system from the outside, she was trained in it. And her investigative and storytelling skills were sharpened even further in 1959, working as a research assistant in Kansas for Truman Capote on his true crime novel In Cold Blood, which was just a year before To Kill a Mockingbird came out.
When we place her reality next to her creation, the mirroring is just undeniable. On one hand, you have a woman born in Alabama and formally trained in law. On the other, a novel anchored by a Deep South lawyer navigating the immense complexities of justice. The creation of Atticus Finch and the intense realism of that trial, that wasn't born out of thin air. It was art imitating a life heavily influenced by rigorous legal study and deep Southern roots. But her journey definitely wasn't a straight line to literary fame. In a fun twist, she actually spent time as an airline reservations clerk in New York while trying to get her writing off the ground. And incredibly, after the massive success of the book and its hugely popular 1962 film adaptation, there was a staggering 55-year gap before she published her second book, Go Set a Watchman, in 2015, just a year before she passed away at age 89. Despite that long silence, her initial masterpiece never stopped resonating. Which brings us to the ultimate recognition, Librarians across the country, the very people whose profession is to evaluate and curate literature, voted To Kill a Mockingbird the best novel of the 20th century. So I leave you with this provocative question to ponder. How did one woman's legal studies and childhood in Alabama allow her to capture the conscience of the entire world so completely? What is it about this specific story of a racial injustice that continues to demand our attention today? Take some time to think about that, and thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.